Hello, how are you? Today I wanted to write a book review of this book, Promise Ahead. And I've made some mind maps of this, so I'll share a screen with you. So starting with this. So humanity's central project right here is, is what is called the 7 stages of unfolding double wisdom. Now, what is double wisdom? Human beings not only have the ability to know, they have the ability to turn the Human beings not only have the ability to know, they have the ability to turn the mirror of knowing around and reflect on the mirror of knowing itself. We can pay attention to how we are paying attention, which is the process at the heart of meditation. And, and because we have this unique ability, we have the ability to actually evolve and to really get over our self-destructive patterns because we can see them happening. And that is the promise of this book, right? Promise Ahead, a vision of hope and action for humanity's future. So here are the 7 stages of this double wisdom. In the first stage, the archaic humans, they had what's called contracted consciousness. The next stage, the awakening gatherers and hunters, they had a sensing consciousness. They couldn't even feel yet, they were just sensing things. Then in the third stage, farm-based civilizations had a feeling consciousness. Then the fourth stage, when we had the scientific industrial civilizations, we had a thinking consciousness. And in the communications era, where we have the internet and we have the flowering of meditation classes and many yoga classes happening all around the world, we're now at the observing consciousness, where we're able to observe our thinking and our feeling and our sensing, and even observe our observation, right? We're at the witness consciousness. And from there, we're moving into what is known as the bonding era, the compassionate consciousness, which is why, for example, veganism is on the rise, where we're caring about the earth finally. There's the whole water protectors at Standing Rock happening right now. So let me read to you what he means by the compassionate consciousness here. I believe that an observing consciousness will mature into a compassionate consciousness, and love will genuinely infuse our civilizing activities. The same energy of compassion that binds a family is a unifying force that will make global reconciliation and commitment possible. By the way, he has a whole chapter on reconciliation and how to do that. And we really need that in these times. By the way, this book was written in 2000 when Bush was elected president, so it's so timely for me to find this book and read it. It is love that will enable us to join in a purposeful union of global scope so as to ensure a sustainable home for all life. We will not enter the stage with our capacity for compassion fully developed. Instead, it will be through working together day after day over generations that we shall evolve our capacity for loving engagement with the world. In turn, it will be the strength of this union that will enable us to withstand the enormous stresses that will be unleashed during the next stage of growth. And compassion is more than empathy. It is beyond words. It is felt in the heart. In fact, you can pray without words if you can feel with the heart, where you just drop into your heart and feel the natural love and gratitude arising from knowing that your heart has been pumping thousands of miles of blood all these years. Drop into your heart and then visualize whatever you want to pray for and just ask for a blessing. And send this love heart energy. Let the awareness of your heart just radiate out into the world. The awareness that you're feeling in your heart, that love, just radiate out. You can even visualize it as light, or you can just let it radiate out as awareness, as pure feeling, pure being, out into the world, and let it touch whatever you want to bless. And when you speak, speak from your heart, through your heart. So that is a compassionate consciousness. The next stage, stage 7, is the area of surpassing ourselves, flow consciousness. With flow consciousness, we experience existence as fresh, alive, and arising anew. The observer no longer stands apart from any aspect of reality, but participates fully. We return consciously to the center of our ordinary lives and bring the power of wakefulness to our creative expression. We know moment by moment, through the subtle hum of knowing resonance at the core of our being, whether we are living in a way that serves the well-being of the whole. In this stage, humanity will move beyond maintaining ourselves to surpassing ourselves. In this surpassing era, compassionate consciousness coalesces into self-organizing action and becomes a forceful, focused, creative expression in the world. A primary challenge of this era will be to liberate the creative potentials of the species without destroying the foundation of global unity and sustainability developed in the previous stages. To meet this challenge, it will be important to develop and integrate all aspects of reflective consciousness into a balanced whole. And beyond that, we have a wisdom civilization. So beyond the compassion consciousness, there is beyond co-creation, we now have what I call a co-flowing or a co-being consciousness, where there's no difference even between giving and receiving. And how we do that comes from all of us taking up what's called voluntary simplicity, which is right here, right? What is voluntary simplicity? Living in such a way that we consciously bring our most authentic and alive self into direct connection with life. The object of the simple life is not to live dogmatically with less, but rather to live with balance and harmony so as to live a life of greater fulfillment and satisfaction. It has more to do with the state of mind than a person's physical surroundings and possessions, right? And so for some people whose true gift is having a large family, they might need a bigger house, right? So it's not necessarily about giving up possessions, right? And for some other people who just want to create art, that's their passion and their true gift, then they might give up living in a house and just travel around the world and create art. So it's about living a life of purpose, not a life of poverty. So there are these 5 things that are important when it comes to voluntary simplicity. Relationships. The quality, depth, and integrity of relationships and the pure connection is more important than the quantity. Not just with each other and ourselves, but with all living beings on earth, the entire universe. And by the way, there are 5 levels of connection, which I teach in my workshops. And the first level connection is just information, where we just exchange information. In the second level connection, we ask each other more personal questions. We go beyond small talk and ask the deep questions that we really want to ask, like, what will be your last wish when you die, right? What is your greatest fear, right? And the third level connection, we don't even need to ask each other questions anymore. We just make statements about each other, about the connection itself, about how we're impacting each other. And the fourth level connection, we don't even need to ask each other questions anymore or make statements. It's nonverbal. The quiet is that heart connection, that flow connection that I'm talking about. And then the fifth level is transcendental, where you don't know where I begin and you end. So a lot of dance communities are like that. So the second aspect is true gifts. Discover and live your top 5 core strengths, your true primary love language, your heart virtue, your flow zone, that's your greatest gift. So it's about living a life that truly fulfills you the most, right? It's not about having more material possessions or having more sex. It's about what fulfills you, truly you, not what you've been programmed to think, right? And and maybe having some possessions might be part of your fulfillment for now. Maybe having more sex than other people, than the average population or some of your friends might be what fulfills you right now. Or maybe having less sex might be what fulfills you. You know, that might be part of that bigger picture. And it's about more than that. It's about giving birth to your unique vision of a better world, giving birth to your equivalent of the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr., or Steve Jobs' iPhone, right? Or J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. What is it that wants to be born through you that only you can bring into the world that is so amazing and remarkable and awe-inspiring that it completely revolutionizes the world? So this is not just about having more money or having a bigger business. It's so much bigger than that. And that is part of voluntary simplicity as well. Then there's balance and harmony. The simple life is not narrowly focused on living with less. It is a continuously changing process of consciously balancing the inner and outer aspects of our lives. Meditation and other self-connection practices. Approach life as meditation. We pay attention to the small things where you don't just meditate 15 minutes a day. Your whole life is a meditation, where your whole life comes from being, from your true self that is already free and peaceful and loving. And it's not coming from the programming that you've been programmed to think, where all of this programming that tells you that you're not good enough or you can never have peace. None of that. And 5, and this is my addition, my original addition to voluntary simplicity that's not in the book. Discover and playfully live your core desired feelings through movement practices involving sound, movement, breath, touch, and connection. This includes yoga, Feldenkrais, contact improv, contemplative movement, and free flow, random creative expressions, right? So everything we've ever wanted was because we want to feel a certain way. For example, if I want a bigger house, what I actually want is to be more spacious. If I want more money, what I actually want might be to feel more stable and free. So do I really need a bigger house to feel more spacious? No. I can just move my arms out like this and say the sound, ah, and I can feel more spacious. Like going, ah, right? Or I can go to the ocean and spread my arms out like that and feel more spacious, and go to the mountains, right? So it's about finding out what are the strategies for me to feel this way instead of being addicted to a strategy. By the way, this is why we have addictions as well. When you want to smoke, what you actually want is to feel more relaxed. So what else can you do to feel more relaxed? Next time you think about smoking or whatever your addiction is, ask yourself, what am I avoiding that I don't want to feel? And what do I actually want to feel? And whatever you're feeling, allow yourself to just feel that, and then use that very emotion to set yourself free. And then do something that makes you feel what you want to feel. So for example, if you're feeling sad, use it to let go of what no longer serves you. If you're feeling fear, use it to stop running away from yourself, from your own shadows and demons, and just get still and access that wisdom inside you. That beautiful wisdom and creative genius inside you that has solutions to all the challenges of your life, that really has that vision of that more beautiful world that your heart knows is possible, right? If you're feeling angry, use it as rocket fuel to just skyrocket out of your negative patterns and your people-pleasing behavior. Really own the fact that you are pure freedom itself, that you are not only enough, you are powerful freedom, that you are not only lovable, you are love itself, right? So use these emotions that you've been resisting in the past and just embrace them, welcome them as powerful tools for your own freedom, right? And also they're messages telling you what you need to know. Sometimes the message might be a limiting belief like I'm not good enough, or sometimes the message might be that you just need to drink water, or sometimes the message might be that a boundary has been violated, which by the way is one of the 3 types of anger. And I have written a whole article on that as well that you can access, and I can post a link later. So I want to move on to this very important diagram here, evolutionary crash or bounce. We're at the cusp right now, and if we all don't collectively awaken and do the actions needed to take instead of that wisdom civilization, we're going to crash, right? So it starts with denial, where the first stage is we're denying that we're at the cusp, we're denying that we have a lot of problems in the world. We're putting our heads in the sand with fake positive thinking, right? But once we see the truth about what's actually happening, we can go into innovation and start thinking about the solutions, right? There's actually a great TED Talk called The Secret Structure of the World's Greatest Speeches. Let me show you. Maybe I'll show you that later. So the secret structure is very simple, where we talk about what is and then what could be, what is and what could be, what is and what could be. Even Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech was based on the secret structure of the world's greatest speeches, right? Let me show you the secret structure right now. Yeah, there you go. That's the secret structure right there. Okay. And so as you can see, we focus on what is, then what could be, which is the solution. What is, what could be, what is. And we end with the new bliss and a call to action, right? That is the way to live life as well. We're real about what is going on, but we emphasize more the vision of what could be. We access our inner wisdom to find out what could be, that new vision of a better world. And we start emphasizing that. And we emphasize more the peace and love and awareness that's generated by this sacred vision from deep inside us, right? So that's how we start innovating. And from innovation, we move into an initiation into that new world where we start physicalizing and manifesting that. Then we bounce, right? Now, if we don't innovate enough and embody the initiation enough, instead of bouncing, we just might crash. Hopefully we don't do that, right? We will bounce. And there's a beautiful quote by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin: the being who is the object of his own reflection, in consequence of his own doubling upon himself, that double wisdom again, right? Becomes in the flesh able to raise himself into a new awareness. Let's go into the how, the detailed how. There's a whole chapter on reconciliation, which I won't talk about that too, but that's part of the how too. So engage reflection in the turning zone. Part of that is creating a conscious democracy where citizens converse with each other about what's really going on in the world from a very conscious, creative place of accessing our inner wisdom. And then we give feedback to our world leaders directly. And there is a two-way conversation creating that new kind of democracy where we don't just vote every 4 years or 2 years for the new leaders, and we just hope that the leaders do what needs to be done. And that's basically the current democracy. What we need is something more active where citizens give weekly or maybe even daily feedback to our world leaders about what's going on in the world, and the leaders ask for our feedback, and we all meditate on what the solutions are needed, and there's a direct feedback loop going on. And then another aspect of this is small group reflection to discover a new common sense, a new story of union and connection, right? Instead of the old story of separation. So, and the new story that comes from our deep, double inner wisdom and creative genius, right? And so we have study circles to find out the new story. We have the new common sense classrooms, meditation halls, churches, corporate boardrooms, community and professional groups, where every group is all about helping us discover and embody the new story, right? Because our current stories are made out of conflict, right? We need a new story, a new way of engaging ourselves, and new kinds of games as well. We really need the new story. And let me give you an example of what I mean by a new story, right? I once went to a contact improv class where I was sitting down in front of this woman, and then she was sitting down behind me and she was giving me a massage. Contact improv, by the way, is a class where people just freely express themselves with no rules except one, safety. You can pretty much do whatever you want as long as you care about your own safety and other people's safety, right? And the second rule is you always have one single point of contact, right? But even that rule is flexible. And it's all about, like, part of it is about really truly connecting to each other from an inspired place. At least for me, that's how I see it. So I was in this group where I was sitting down with this woman, and she was sitting down behind me, and she started giving me a massage. And then I just felt inspired to move my arms up and down like that. And so she made a joke. She said, you know, if we keep doing that, you just might fly. So I used that as leverage to move my arms up and down further. And then at some point, I just knew when it was time to get up. So I just stood up and then just raised my arms up like that. And in perfect synchronistic timing, I just used that as leverage to jump forward so that I could fly in a way. And in perfect synchronistic timing, another guy came forward and lifted me up round and round the room, and I actually got to fly. And so that's a perfect example of a new story, right? And by the way, I was not even in communication with that guy. It was just perfect synergistic timing. So I just told you an amazing story that was engaging and fun and co-creative with no conflict whatsoever, right? That's an example of a new story. Now, grounded is a very short story, right? How do we create a longer story like that that's engaging like that without conflict, right? To me, that is the great question of our lives, right? To really live a life where we have a new world that's made out of a new story. Because right now, all of our stories are conflict driven, and the world is made out of stories and games. And that is why we have so much wars and conflicts and violence in the world, where the very way that we are feeling engaged by the world is through the drama and the conflict, right? Which is the center story. So it's more than just about everybody just awakening. It's about really embodying and creating a new story. So then this brings us to the power of social reflection. Rezoning cities for eco-villages and sustainable neighborhoods, investing in a healthy future, redefining business success. That's so important because right now, business success is based on just money, right? But what if business success is also about sustainability and giving back and about true fulfillment from living a voluntary, simple life, transforming injustice. And this is the most innovative idea in the book, visualizing more sustainable ways of living. In fact, in my next video, I'm about to share with you a new technology that you will experience that will literally be an important key to truly changing the world. So I'm going to read that passage from the book that explains what he means by visualizing more sustainable ways of living. It's not what you think. I want to repeat what I consider to be a staggering set of statistics. The average American watches roughly more 25,000 television commercials a year. Isn't that fucking crazy? Wow. Most are advertisements for a consumer's way of life as much as they are pitches for particular products. Exactly, because that's what you need to sell, right? What difference would it make to our collective psyche if there were counterbalancing messages in favor of a more sustainable and compassionate world? What if the culture of consumption found itself side by side on television with a culture of consciousness that values simplicity and sustainability? My sense is that high-quality alternative programming, such as 30-second Earth Visions and weekly hour-long viewer feedback forums, would awaken public interest in seeing alternative approaches to living and consuming. This highly public feedback process involving local viewers would be far more effective in bringing about meaningful change than the cumbersome process of passing laws or involving remote regulatory agencies. Without passing a law and with breathtaking speed, an entire nation and ultimately the entire world could begin reconsidering the levels and patterns of consumption that we value. Isn't that amazing? And now I know why I've been guided to create guided meditation videos based on my dreams, because these videos are a new way of telling a story so that you experience the story directly as if it was your story, your dream itself. And it's a new kind of story itself. It's a new kind of earth vision, where a new way of getting you to directly experience that divine inner double wisdom and creative genius directly, to give you a taste of that expansion. And I'm going to deepen that even more as a result of reading that passage from the book. And that's what is the most exciting for me right now. So thank you so much for sharing, for watching this video book review with all these mind maps. So have a great day. So I'm gonna stop the recording.